Tonight we are focusing on the pollination in kiwi fruit vines and fruit growth. Kiwi fruit is a fruit that comes from China, but it is made commercial, or it was made famous and commercial by the New Zealand guys. In China, it was just a crop that is growing on the forest. Then it started becoming a commercial crop when it was introduced in New Zealand. Kiwi fruit vines are the hardy deciduous vines, meaning they drop leaves in winter. And it is also a dioecious plant, meaning it has a male plant which serves as a pollinator and a female plant which bears the fruits. The fruit is a berry. Is a berry that is, okay, the green one has hair. It's sort of hairy. Then the yellow one is not that hairy, but there's little hair, but not like the one which is green. But in shops like ShopRite, we find the green one. So this yellow one, yeah, it's very scarce in South Africa. We grow it, but we export it most of the time. So even I never found this yellow one here in South Africa. There's only green one, but we produce the yellow ones. That's because our focus is the international market. You can move. This is a crop. Yeah, I hope many of us know it. If you don't know it, this is a crop. This is how it looks like. You can move again. Yes. So some people a yellow kiwi, some call it a gold kiwi. So it's up to you, but you can see the inside is sort of like gold to yellow. So we call it a yellow kiwi. You can move. So these are the flowers. On my right-hand side is a female flower. As you can see, it has the stigma, which is that white thing. Then it also has the anthers, but the pollen that you find in these anthers is not like, does not get measured enough to be able to pollinate these flowers. So for us to have pollination, we need to have this male flower on my left-hand side. As you can see, it only has the male part of a flower. There are no stigmas there. So that's why we have to have a male pollinator rather. You can proceed.
Mr. Sibanyoni.
Hello.
Uyangizwa?
Yes, ngiyakuzwa.
Okay, I just want to or I just want you to clear me from this. These two flowers, you need to have two different plants for them.
Yes, they are both born on two different plants. Like it's dioecious, so meaning it has a male plant and a female plant.
Okay, so if you only have one plant, then what's gonna happen? You're not gonna have a production.
Yeah, if you have females only, you'll have very, very few fruits if you are lucky. Out of 100 flowers, you might have maybe 2 small fruits. So for you to have fruits, good fruits or bigger fruits, you need a male pollinator.
So now if I start buying seedlings from a nursery, what I need to do is I have to buy the seedlings, the male plant, and the seedlings, the female plant, grow them together.
Yes, but what they do is we just that's the female, because or when they are still young, which one is the male or which one is the female? They look alike. They are the same almost. It's the same plant. So for you to be sure, you must just buy the rootstock, then buy the scions or get them wherever you can, and then graft accordingly. But I will explain as we go further.
Okay.
Then Mr. Sibanyoni, excuse me.
Yes, Mr. Shalam.
Hello. Yeah,
Hello.
no, I just wanted to ask at what ratio are you then planting your seedlings as compared to, I mean, the male and female? At what ratio are you then planting them for successful or maybe better pollination?
Yes, I was still coming to that, but some guys in the olden days they used to plant 8:1. There will be 8 females to 1 male, but because that didn't give them much yield or quality in terms of size, so that ratio went down to some did 1:1, some did 3:1, some 4:1. But the most popular one now, I think, is 4:1.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, may I proceed? This is the male plant. As you can see, it is not trained, it's just growing anyhow, because what we want here are just flowers. After flowering, we carry it back again. So don't train it. You will see when I show you a female plant, you will see a different. We can move to the next slide, please. As you can see, these are the females. They are trained on a tipper system. Like all the canes are tied down horizontally so that the fruits can hang. Now you can see a difference between a male and a female. With females, we train them, then males, we just let them grow anyhow. We don't even count the number of canes or whatever. We just want as many shoots as we can so that we get as much flowers as we can for the pollination purpose. We can move. So there are various methods of pollination in kiwi fruit vines. There's wind, there's bees, there's hand, then there's pollen blower. You can move. Here I try to make some, to show you the ratio, like the one which is suitable when you're relying on wind pollination. When the wind blows, the pollen comes out of a male flower, then it goes straight to the stigma of a female flower, because the stigma is like a magnet to a pollen. But for this method to work very well, or it works well on the farmers, or for the farmers that have this type of arrangement. You see, the MM stands for male, then the FF is female. You'll find one row, it's just males only. Then the other row, the next row is the males, just like that. Then the ratio is 1:1. Then it works well here. There are farmers who just rely on this thing. They don't put bees, they don't supply like supplement pollen or whatever. They just rely on this, on wind, and wind and only, just wind only. That's what they do. But for you to have good results, your ratio must be at least 1:1. You can move. Then there's also pollination by bees. As you can see here, we have the first plants, like it's a male, then there will be a 4 female plant, then the 5th one again will be a male, just like that. This one works well when we are using bees. And unlike that one, here you have at least a lot of females or a more number of females than the previous system that showed you on the previous slide. Then this one works best for the bees because the research shows that the bees hardly grow across the rows. Like if they get to one vine, they will just move to the next, not across. They will just move to the next vine, just like that. So the aim with the bees pollination is to allow bees to make mistakes, because bees they cannot differentiate if it's a male plant or a male flower or a female flower. They don't differentiate. They just go into a flower to take whatever they are taking. So your aim should be that before a bee moves to a female, it must first start on a male plant. Then as it takes what it takes there, what they call it, the nectar and everything, like it vibrates. Then the powder, the white powder, which is pollen, it's gonna be on its body. Then when it moves female flower or plant, then again it takes whatever it's taking, it vibrates again. That pollen on this body will automatically stick on the stigmas of a female plant, then on the female flower. Then that's how pollination takes place in this system. As you can see here, but I've made a mistake here. The ratio is 4:1. Like there are 4 females to 1 male. Yeah, you can move. What's happening? Okay, you can move again. I made a mistake by this one. I think we've done it. And then this is hand pollination. So with hand pollination, but this one is more practical when you have like a smaller field, or maybe 2 hectares, 3 hectares. Like now we are having only 3 hectares. So we can use this system, but you will need more labor because it's very labor intensive. So what happens here, you go to a male plant, then you take the newly opened, fresh male flowers, you put them in the bucket like that. Then you go to female plants. Then when you get to female plants, you rub the male flower on the pistils of a female flower. In that way, the pollen will move from the male to the female flower, but it's very labor intensive. So the rule here is 1 male flower can pollinate around 6 to 7 female flowers. But in our case, we will just use 1 male flower to pollinate 1 female flower. You can move. Then we have the last one, the method that we are using to pollinate these kiwi fruits. But this is a very expensive one because the pollen is very expensive. Like 1 kg is 20,000 rands. It was 20,000 rands in 2018. I don't know how much it is now. Yes, it's very expensive because collecting the pollen is a lot of work. Like you can see on the left-hand side is a very scent, then on the right-hand side is a pollen. Then you have to mix them. Like if you take 100 grams on this side, you must take 100 grams on that side. Mix them, make sure that they are mixed well. Then you can apply them to to female flowers. We can move to the next slide. Then after we have mixed the pollen and the vericend, you put them in this small tool, which you can hold in your hand. We call it a pollen blower. It takes about 50 grams of pollen. Then you go to every female flower, you just squeeze that thing that looks like a balloon. Just squeeze it, then it will blow some pollen. Just do one squeeze per flower, just like that. Go to every flower, you do the same thing. Then in that way, pollination takes place. We can move. Here we have a flower that has been successfully pollinated and a flower that has not been successfully pollinated. So sometimes it happens that you pollinate a flower, but it does not take the pollen for various reasons, maybe because of high temperatures, or maybe the pollen tubes didn't grow to reach what we call what are those things? The word is escaping my mind. Like the ovules, because after pollination, the pollen tube, like the pollen tube germinates from the stigmas and goes to the ovules. Then that tube, it becomes like a road for a pollen to the ovules. Then that's how fertilization takes place. But sometimes, maybe because of shortage of boron or very high temperature, this process is disturbed. Then you'll end up with a flower that is drying out. It won't form a fruit. And then this one on my left-hand side, you can see that pollination has been successful. So flowers or fruits, they don't upsize, they don't fall down. If a flower, a male flower, a female flower rather, is pollinated, it will form a fruit. Even if it was not well pollinated, it will form a fruit, but it will not grow. Then if it is well pollinated, it will form a fruit that grows, because the size of a fruit is determined by the number of like pollen grains that pollinated the ovules or whatnot, because they say you need around 2,000 pollen grains to pollinate a fruit that will reach a size of 80 grams. But we'll talk about that as we proceed. I will explain it better. So now we are at fruit growth. I don't know if there's any question.
So sorry, Sibanyoni. If you are using a pollen blower to pollinate,
yes.
So is that just a once-off procedure, or you do it maybe twice or thrice or something?
What we do, we come back, but we make the flowers that are still white. As they start to become brown, showing that they are getting old, it means that maybe we have pollinated them in the first round. So we just keep them. But if it is still fresh, then we pollinate them. So it's not a once-off thing. You come back again, because another thing is these flowers don't open on the same day. They can open maybe a week apart. So you will come back again and again and again, just like that, until the flowering process or season is finished, which takes about 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Then,
Okay,
Mr. Sonyo.
Mr. Shala.
Yeah, the pollen blower system that you just explained now. You said you are buying a set of pollen costing about 20,000.
Yes,
I just wanted to know how many trees roundabout that you can use the very same pollen to pollinate them. So have you,
If
I'm not so sure if you get my question.
Yes, I got the question.
Okay.
They say a kg can do 1 hectare of matured vines if your vines are matured, like they are 5 years or older. But because ours, they are just small, it was their second season in production this year. So we are still on like second wire. We are supposed to go up to fifth wire, but now we are still on the second wire. So with us, with that 1 kg, we can almost do the whole farm, because we not only rely on it, also use that hand pollination that I explained earlier. But if you are only relying on it, then you will need about 1 kg per hectare.
So then you said that set of pollen, it's how many kg?
1 kg.
Oh, it's 1 kg. Okay.
Yes, 1 kg.
No, I mean the one that you say is costing 20,000. It's how many kg?
Yes, it's 1 kg per hectare. 1 kg is equal to 20,000.
Okay. Number one.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
If
thank you.
there are no move. We can move to the next slide. Okay, now we are on the fruit growth. The growth of kiwi fruits, like, is divided into two. There's growth in dry matter, which is constant from bloom to harvest, but it is very slow. So from bloom to harvest, the fruit will just collect dry matter, just like that. Then the second growth is growth in fresh weight, which occurs in cycles. We can move to the next slide. And this is the growth curve of the fruit, like the growth in fresh weight, the three stages. If you can look, the first 4 weeks, like week 39, week 40, week 42, and week 43, the fruit grows rapidly for those 4 weeks. So for about 80 to 40 days, the fruit will grow rapidly. Like, it will increase in length. The average will be 8 millimeters per week in length. Then that stage is due to what? Cell division. That's why there's a rapid growth. So the cells are dividing, then the growth is very rapid. Then the second stage, which is stage 2, the fruit continues to grow, but less rapidly this time, but at a constant rate. So there it will grow about 6 millimeters to 4 millimeters average per week for about another 30 to 40 days, which is about 4 weeks. Then the stage 3, which is the final one, it is a long period of slow growth that lasts until harvest. And this one, it is only due to cell enlargement. So with the kiwis, you only have 8 weeks maximum to grow your fruits. If your fruits don't reach a certain size by week number 8, then know that they won't make it. Because for us to sell these fruits to the international market, they need to weigh at least 75 grams. And there are many factors which influence the growth of these fruits. First is the pollination, which determines the number of seeds. Then the number of seeds determine the growth of the fruit, because these seeds are believed to be having hormones that encourage growth around them. So if your fruit is less than 75 grams, you just throw it away. And if it doesn't grow, maybe by the week number 8, if it doesn't reach a certain size, then you can apply whatever you think can make fruits grow. It don't make any difference. So it's a crop that you only have a small window, just 8 weeks to make it work. If it doesn't work in this first 8 weeks, then it's done. You might just, I don't know, pick them and throw them to the ground because you're not going to use them. I don't. If there are no questions, we can move.
Sorry, so Sibanyoni, so there is no processing that is happening, processing of these fruits that is happening in the country at the moment? Because I'm here, I heard that you said if it doesn't reach the right size, then you can just throw it away. I'm asking myself that is there any processing of this fruit that is taking place or is done in the country, so which can help us not to throw away the fruits
Like
that didn't reach the correct size?
Like the post-harvest processing.
Yeah, it's like just, yeah, instead of throwing it away, maybe you could process it and do whatever. I don't know.
When I first arrived here, when we started this project, we had this meeting because it was sponsored by the ITC and the Fresh World. So we discussing, because like the kiwi fruit is unknown. It's unknown in South Africa. So we must not introduce this fruit as a small fruit, because if that happens, you'll find it on the shelves. So the 5 grams up. Another reason for that is there's this global gap between February and April rather, where there's no country in the world that produces kiwis or has kiwis that are ready for consumption. So our area, Mabul Hall, is the only area in the world that can fill that gap. So our aim is to fill that gap and make more money, because here locally it is not in demand, so you won't make much money. And considering the expensive pollen, labors, everything, so it will just be not a good idea to grow them, or it will not be commercial, like it won't make you a profit. So if you want to make money, you must go international, and international, the minimum is 75 grams. And the kg, when you sell it to the international market, kg alone, last season was 42 rands a kg. And they have a potential of producing up to 40 tons per hectare in South Africa. Then in New Zealand, there are guys who are doing 70 tons per hectare. So you can multiply that.
Yeah.